Hey guys, you are again with Committed. Today we have a very interesting guest. Please meet the CEO of the QA Mentor company, Ruslan Desyatnikov. Ruslan,
Thank you for the intro. Hi guys. Thank you very much for coming in. I know many people coming around the world at some point of time. There is a night, morning, evening. So I really appreciate it for everyone to be here. And thank you for the invitation.
thank you. So we have here Olga, Victor, and Dasha, and we have a lot of questions for you. So in your profile, mentioned that you are CEO, speaker, investor, and I would say author, advisor. So who are you?
I'm all of the above. So I am Ruslan Desyatnikov, basically a quality guy, quality assurance and testing guy. Throughout my entire career, I've been doing only quality assurance and testing right from graduating the college. So pretty much, wearing multiple different hats, managing various of different aspects of the organization. Plus, I'm a very technical guy as well. So quality assurance is I was born with this skill set, I would say, because all my life, all my entire career, I've been concentrating around quality assurance and testing.
Okay, we should believe you, I think. A lot of roles. So guys,
Absolutely.
don't forget to register in Slido, ask questions for Ruslan, and soon we will have several pools. I know that you are an immigrant, and I think it was not easy to start a career in United States. So my question is, why you choose software testing profession and how you started? Was it hard?
Absolutely. Yeah, very good question. Yes, I came from the former Soviet Union Republic, Moldova, which is a country right now, 27 years back. Started, in the high school, then went to the college, graduated from Baruch College in New York with the bachelor's in computer information system. And after graduation, I had a very hard time finding a job. As a matter of fact, everyone who I graduated with were identifying jobs at very big companies. And I had a very challenging job. I went for a number of interviews, and for some reason, I was rejected. I was looking maybe 2, 3 months after I graduated. And one startup company offered me a job. I was pretty happy because that was the only position which I had on the table at that time, and I took it. And surprisingly, that position was junior QA tester. At that time, I had absolutely no clue what junior tester or testing is all about. I had the idea, but really not understanding much because primarily in the college, I was concentrating around programming, developing, and I was not a big fan to do programming. I said to myself, this is not type of tea which I wanted to continue, and for that reason, I was looking for other opportunities such as networking, help desk support, and testing. Again, I was not really specifically looking for this, so I end up in startup company as a junior tester. And from that moment, I fall in love in testing. I really enjoyed testing. I start gaining knowledge. I start gaining understanding. And practically from junior testing position throughout my career, I was moving up, playing different roles, automation engineer, security tester, performance tester, team lead, test leads, QA managers, and slowly starting climbing up to the management position, wearing multiple different hats, playing and managing big team, testing center of excellence for major banks with over 150 testers globally. Until I felt that I'm ready to start something on my own.
Thanks.
Very impressive story, but everybody likes success stories. Maybe you can share some case or maybe issue or some problem that you're proud of solving.
Sure, absolutely. You know, before success stories, there was a lot of failures, and I'm not afraid to talk about failures as well. There was a lot of challenges and a lot of mistakes, which I did personally across the board throughout my careers. But also, there was a lot of problems which I solved, we solved of the organization. We constantly solving many problems. Every day we're dealing with problems which our customers are facing, and we're trying to solve and address and help clients, to provide various of different resolutions and strategies to address those problems across the board. Again, there's tons of problems which we solving. Uh, it's kind of hard to come up with a specific problem right now which we solve. We solve problems where clients, for instance, have very limited resources, 2, 3 resources, and they have 6, 7 different applications to deal with and test with and cover various of angles, including performance, security, automation. And that's a huge challenge. And even with the shortage, with the short number of resources, we were able to put transformation strategies to help them out to attack and juggle multiple different projects with limited number of resources by putting the right strategies in place, the right framework in place to address multiple testing cycles, as well as various of different types of testing which needs to be covered. So we're all about problem solving daily for our customers, for ourselves, for our employees, for our fans who are looking for a job or looking for advices. We're always there, to help out and provide those advices, whether it's a LinkedIn or Facebook or any types of questions. We always, trying to help anybody who needs help.
Thank you.
I like the topic of your speech. Testers don't just test, they make products successful. Tell us, please, about your reasons for this conclusion.
Absolutely. So, from my perspective, tester is not just the person who enters dummy data, clicking buttons, and identifying cosmetic issues and problems. Everyone who participating in the testing cycles needs to be adding value to build the product the right way. And what it means basically is you need to be intelligent tester. You need to be intelligent testers from not only technical expertise and technical testing coverage, but from the usability perspective as well. You need to think as a user, you need to think as a customer, you need to understand why there's certain functionalities work that way and how to simplify certain things within the application, within the functionality coverage as well. So from my perspective, every tester should add the value to make the product successful by providing recommendations, providing improvements, providing suggestions, whether it's a usability improvements or functional level improvements or reporting improvements within the application itself. That's what makes tester a successful tester. That's what makes tester a modern tester. And that what makes the whole testing industry, successful by not just identifying defects or preventing defects or managing risks, but really thinking about the product, thinking about how this product will make a difference for users who are out there who are utilizing this product on a daily basis. Testers, and that's what we trained our guys, they need to think as a businessman. So in other words, the product, the applications needs to speed up their day-to-day activities, users' day-to-day activities. It needs to generate revenue for the organizations. And from that perspective, from those angles, we always, think along those lines when it comes to testing. So I personally believe that testers not just test, not just find defects or managing risks or building automation scripts or finding cosmetic or functional issues, but they truly need to understand the logic, the business rules, the subject matter expertise behind the application which they test, and only then they will make a difference.
Okay, thank you.
From your answer, I see that you are not afraid that artificial intelligence will replace testers.
Absolutely. Artificial intelligence will never replace testers. They might substitute some of the areas and improve, turnaround time. But I personally don't believe that artificial intelligence or robotics automation, or machine learning concept will completely replace testing. And for that reason, I wrote a number of articles for Forbes magazine where when I reassured that the testing job will be there for many, many, many years, but the intelligence level of the testers needs to be improved. Understanding of technical aspects, it's extremely, extremely important. Usability aspects, understanding the application, subject matter expertise, the main subject matter expertise behind those applications, extremely important. So I personally believe artificial intelligence will never replace testing because we need testers who can feel, who can touch, who can understand and live by the product. And that's extremely, extremely important. Certain things will never go away. Certain things will be a complementary to help out, similar to the automation. The automation helps us to speed up and improve execution, turnaround time, regression testing coverage, and etc. But even with the tools, as you can see, we're still living with the mentality that they're manual testing, which conducted without the automation tools, and there always will be manual testers out there. And artificial intelligence is not a scary, new innovative technology or approach, which, should scare testers nowadays.
Ruslan, you are talking a lot and writing a lot about software testing center of excellence. Actually, you mentioned this several times in your articles. What is the difference between QA department or software testing department and center of excellence?
Absolutely. Very interesting question. The notion of testing center of excellence came a long time back, when I started my career 23 years ago. Many departments or many software testing services providers likes to mention that they are testing center of excellence. So it's sort of a branding that, they are a very, very sort of centralized and educated body within the organization. So what's the difference between testing center of excellence and the regular department? In my opinion, testing center of excellence should possess knowledge of how to build various of different practices from scratch and be able to understand how to put the right approaches. So whether you supporting functional testing, API level testing, automation, security, performance, testing center of excellence understand how to set up the processes and procedures around those areas, how to establish methodologies and best practices around those areas, and be able to provide guidance and support and be sort of an internal consultant to anybody who needs help around those areas. So again, it's typically QA department might also have those different types of areas within the organization, but testing center of excellence, it's more sort of consultancy based entity which can resolve any types of issues, problems, and provide visibility, do any types of audits, self audits, QA audits at the different levels, at the different departments, and be a centralized sort of go-to entity to support various of different types of challenges and problems which might arise within the organization, within the big organization. Testing center of excellence concept, typically is in the bigger organizations, financial sectors like big banks. I built testing center of excellence from scratch in number of organizations, which I played the role practically from zero all to 200 plus people. In some organizations, I was part of the maturing the testing center of excellence from 60 people to 600 people. So that's sort of the major difference between the testing center of excellence and the QA department, in my opinion.
As far as I remember, test centers of excellence stand for people, process, and technology. That sounds very general and very easy on one hand, but on other hand, it's not easy to implement. So, for example, if I want to have a software test center of excellence in my company, what should I start from?
Absolutely. So the first is you need to understand the vision and the future in terms of what types of support, what types of projects you have, and the vision in terms of the skill set which you need to implement overall testing center of excellence and establish the methodology around it. So people, as you rightly stated, is part of this triangle, and it's extremely important to define the skill set for the resources which will be part of the overall testing center of excellence. So again, testing center of excellence could concentrate on the automation and concentrate more towards the automation. For that reason, in terms of the resource pool, you have to be able to identify the right skill set. Now, I am a big fan of automation. I'm a big fan of training and improving our existing resources by, giving them knowledge around the automation, but extremely difficult of what you're trying to solve, right? So there is automation which needs to be implemented at the ground level, and automation can be implemented throughout the whole software development lifecycle, or you can try the automation simply doing by simple functional UI testing. So it all depends. And for that reason, identifying the right skill set and resources to be successful and be successful testing center of excellence is extremely important. So identifying the right skills is extremely important. Identifying the skills, the tool set which you're going to operate, because there's tons of different automation tools and solutions on the market. And testing center of excellence should not really spend 2 years reviewing and doing R&D on the automation tools. They should be able to select the tools immediately and be able to deploy those tools and train across the board and implement and adopt those tools for the organizations as well. So those are the components which are extremely important. Now, the third big aspect is maturity of the testing center of excellence is measured by metrics. I am a big fan of metrics. We're measuring various of different KPIs across the board throughout the software development lifecycle. We actually implemented the whole methodology of 50 KPIs, key performance indicators, which we are measuring quality throughout the software development lifecycle and software test lifecycle. So ability to understand the current situation, the baseline, where you are stand right now in terms of your maturity, how to assure that the continuous processes within the organization are constantly improved, the quality is getting improved. You have to measure certain aspects when it comes to quality assurance and testing, and be able to understand how to measure quality. So quality metrics, ability to understand where you are at any given point of time, be able to go into the next level of maturity and know how to get to that level of maturity step by step. That's extremely important aspects and knowledge within the testing center of excellence.
So you have your own maturity model, as far as I get. You don't use TMMI or TPI Next. Centers of excellence have their own maturity model. Yes.
No, we actually following all the maturity model. As a matter of fact, we're CMMI level certified, appraised, level 3. So we have our maturity in terms of quality audit maturity. So we invented this methodology, the audit process, which we auditing various of different testing center of excellence, QA departments across the board. We invented and we implemented that QA audit maturity and ranking process. And we live by that because we actually verifying and validating and auditing our own processes across the board because we constantly wanted to get better. And there's a room of improvements within our organization. And, there are some challenges which we're addressing. We're not perfect, and we continuously, trying to reach that level 5, which is, the highest maturity level within the maturity level levels.
Okay, thank you. And one more question. You mentioned that you measure 50 KPIs. Can you please share, I don't know, most important from your point of view to measure the quality?
Absolutely. So there is a number of KPIs which are extremely important, but the most important one, which I feel is the reflection of the work of quality, which is coming from the testing team, is the defect leakage. Defect leakage calculation, extremely important to measure. At the end of the when the product goes live and the product stays in production for a period of 2 to 3 weeks, within 2 to 3 weeks, it's very clear to see any issues, any problems, any obstacles which clients identifying. So defect leakage is extremely important indicator which we're trying to measure. And within our organization, we have a special SLAs to address the defect leakage for our customers and clients. We guarantee that not more than 3% of the defects can be leaked into production environment or user acceptance testing. Anything above 3%, we will pay penalties. And you basically want to be penalized if we're not going to meet the SLA for that. So that's why we want to see the fruits of our work. We want to see the fruits of our employees who participating on the projects. Employees themselves, the testers, needs to understand the reflection of their work based on the testing coverage they do, whether they assigned a particular module. They want to understand whether there is any leak defect as a result of the test design, test execution, and test coverage as well. So defect leakage, test efficiency indicator, which is covering success of the test case coverage. It's also very important aspect of this. But one of the most important aspects to measure quality is a defect leakage, which we measuring across the board for all the sprints, for all the releases, for all the minor releases, for small functionality. So for the major releases, defect leakage is always measured and monitored very closely.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Maybe something about your company QA Mentor. How company QA Mentor contact other companies, and how that testing with that company's process.
Sure, absolutely. So QA Mentor, we established QA Mentor 10 years back, and we started QA Mentor as a one-man shop. I was there by myself, and the idea behind this was to establish a service which will allow us to provide QA audit and process improvements services to various of different QA departments around the world. And that's the reason we gave a name QA Mentor, all about guidance, mentorship, providing strategic support, training, coaching, guiding. So I started this, and I started offering QA audit and process improvement services. And at the beginning, it was pretty successful because there was a lot of clients who were looking for transformation, a lot of clients who wanted to get to the next level. But the only problem was that I was by myself. I was single-threaded, and I have all of those multiple projects which I was not able to do and deliver at the same time. So from that point, I said that we need to start expanding, and we need to start offering a little bit more services to our customers and clients. And that's how we start thinking about providing more additional services to various of different clients around the world. Now, later on, our clients were looking for specialized services, automation, performance, security, not just the strategic services. And for that reason, they were looking for economical testing as well. And we decided to start outsourcing business. We start we decided to start providing more economical testing services to various of different clients around the world. We opened a number of locations. One is in India, in Puri. One is in Ukraine. And really, from that point onwards, the traction took place. We start growing year after year. We start providing more services to our customers and clients. But in terms of how we're looking for the clients, basically, we're providing, and we have various of different strategies, go-to-market strategies through social media, through LinkedIn, through Facebook channel, through the email marketing, through the various of different seminars, webinars, direct approaching, trainings for the organizations. This is how we sort of looking for the customers and looking for the clients across the board with our own methodologies, with our own strategies, which we would like to sort of share with our customers and clients, so they're going to start leveraging them and utilizing them when it comes to quality assurance and testing. And the big door opening for us is coming as a doctor to any of the organization and holistically look at their software development life cycle, look at their software test life cycle, and trying to understand the challenges, trying to understand the issues and problems. Like, you have a sick patient and you need to put this patient into the right transformation, healing process, not only by throwing some medicine or aspirin or some other medication, but doing multiple different things, including dieting, including the health, exercising activities, and many other aspects to it. So it's sort of, this analogy is relating to real world, but in our case, it's looking holistically through broking processes across software development lifecycle, starting from the requirements gathering phase all the way through design, development, testing, user acceptance testing, production acceptance testing and deployment, and then maintenance, and identifying gaps and issues, and helping clients and customers to address them, to be much more mature in what they do, be much more successful in their deliverables, not only from the quality perspective, but from the business expectations, because you can deliver quality product with zero defects, but the clients and the customers will say, well, but this is not what I really requested. You build completely different product for us. So you might say, well, but I have no defects. But guess what? You have a wrong product, right? And we see this very, very often for many companies which we're dealing with.
Okay, thank you. And one more question. Do companies that contact your mentor have their own testers, or you do the whole testing process by yourself?
Sure, absolutely. So there's different types of companies. Some companies already have established a QA team, and some of them have very mature QA team and even testing center of excellence, and they're looking for additional help, strategic help, or specific help around performance, security, automation testing. Some of them looking for instrumentation of the DevOps processes and agile testing implementations as well. Some companies have no QA function in place, and they're looking for us to build the function. Some of customers and clients just looking for the resources. So it's a variety of different things, a variety of different needs per client's expectations and client needs, which we addressing and dealing with on a daily basis.
As we started to talk about business, I have a personal question for you. I know that you're working in the enterprise. I think you had great salary, a lot of people you managed. So basically, I assume you was happy. But what was the main reason for you to leave the stable, I would say, big company and started your own enterprise, accept the risks, and finally move to a wild sea? But before you answer, we are going to run a poll and ask our audience what actually you think about to start your own business. Please show us the results. Don't miss this opportunity to vote in Slido.
Oh, I see. People started waiting. It was you, Victor.
No, not yet. As I see now, a lot of people thinking about business, but not ready to start it yet.
Maybe Ruslan will have some advices for people who thinking to start a business.
I know Ruslan's advice. He will say, just start the business.
Should we give some more time to see the complete picture?
Yes, probably 20 seconds. But anyhow, I think you should start explaining us why you left so great company with a big salary, the good management position, and exchanged it to the, I would say, risky, risky approach, consulting, meet angry customers, and things like that.
Absolutely. This is really great question. A lot of people actually were asking me the same question many times at many different interviews. And I like this question. I like this question because this will give some food for thoughts for the new entrepreneurs, for the new people who wants to try themselves and at some point of time to start the business. Yes, absolutely. I walk away from a very big position, which I play for the big bank with a very good salary, very stable job. I don't want to say it was 9 to 5 job. All my jobs were pretty challenging where I work a lot of hours all the time. But it was very interesting job. Now, I left this because I like challenges. I get bored very quickly when things get work out very well and stabilize. I'm the guy who constantly needs some challenges and tough challenges. At any given company where I used to work, when things get bored, when I accomplish things, when everything gets stabilized, and I achieve everything practically for the most organizations within 3 years, where everything was working as a machine perfectly fine. You just have to add the oil into it. I get bored, and I was looking for challenges. Some organizations provided me those challenges. In some organization, actually, I remember back in the days, I was looking for challenges, and I asked my manager, "I'm a little bit bored. Do you have something for me?" And he said, "Ruslan, are you sure?" And I was puzzled with his question. I said, "Yes, I'm absolutely sure. I want more additional challenges, more responsibilities." He said, "I have one position, which is handling the biggest project which we have in the bank, the biggest testing cycle with over 150 testers. But the only problem is there was 5 managers in the last 2 years, and all of them were fired. If you're ready to take this challenge and you're not afraid to fail at this position, you can try." So I was thinking for a minute, and I said, "I'm ready to do it. Let's do it." And I was very, very happy that I made that decision. It was a very interesting journey. It was very, very tough project where I managed 8 different testing teams across the world for the biggest flagship project of that time in HSBC Bank. And it was very, very good experience, excellent experience across the board. Gave me a lot of experience, a lot of strength, a lot of new things which I learned and gained with that kind of experience. And that helped me to stay at the job for a little while before I get bored as well. So when I get bored, I have to move on unless there's more challenges. So at some point of time in my career, I said that I want to try something on my own. I was ready to start my company. I was always dreaming to start my own company. I was a little tired from the corporate world, from the politics in the corporate world, and I decided to start that company and challenge myself to see whether I can really succeed from absolutely nothing, from my own money, my own investment money, where I never like to utilize any investor's money. Throughout anything I do, I don't like to take loans or mortgages. If you have the money, you can invest them. If you don't have money, don't invest them. I'm a personal believer in this. And yes, I walk away. My family, my parents, my wife were questioning why would I do that, when everything is stable. But I decided to try. I said, if I'm not going to try, I will regret all my life. Let's see. I can always come back. If I fail, I can always come back. Let's just give it a try. And I did try. It was not easy. For the first 3 years, it was extremely, extremely difficult. I was losing money basically because I was investing money in various of different things. Obviously, we didn't make any money or any profit. I didn't write myself a check for all these 3 years. As a matter of fact, at some point of time, it was so tough that we didn't have money to pay to our employees. So I scheduled a meeting with all of the guys, and I explained the tough situation. I explained them that I would not be upset if they will start looking for another job and start leaving, because it's extremely difficult. There was no money, no funds at all. But I promised to them that at some point of time, we will be able to pay off all the salaries, all the delayed salaries. It's just a matter of time. Just be a little bit more patient. And, I remember I went actually at that point of time, I went to do one project myself to the company in New York to test the game. For 1 month, we signed the deal. I went there and I earned at that time $10,000, and I was able to pay off salaries to my guys. So it was definitely a challenging start. It was not easy start without any backup. And at some point, I was thinking if it was the right decision, but I said, let's move forward. Let's try harder. Let's try to change some strategies. And then it starts, we start gaining more momentum. We start winning more projects. We start expanding. We start, acquiring a couple other companies, with the earned money, which we made. And, that's how we start growing. But it was a very, very painful road initially. And anybody who is out there, who is listening, you have to be extremely careful and you have to be extremely patient. Actually, a partner of mine, Nitin, who is probably on this call as well, he helped me to start this whole thing in India. He called me because before I didn't think about outsourcing, about big expansion. I was, concentrating around QA audit, process improvements, transformation. So it was not really sort of offering multiple different services. But Nitin, sparkle my interest, and he said, let's start doing it through the offshore. Let's, implement this. And, this guy is with the patient. I had patience as well. Many people I know, initially in the first year, second year, they don't make $1, they go back, they give up. We didn't give up for 3 years. Not a single dollar, not a single profit in 3 years. And we were still continue going. And that's paid off. So my recommendation, who is out there, who wants to try, absolutely. It's very important to try. Everybody has sort of a dream to build an organization. It's not easy job. It's absolutely not. You have to be extremely careful because you can jeopardize. If you're single, you're jeopardizing your life. If you have a family, you're jeopardizing the life of your family, the comfort level of your family. It's not the rosy road at the beginning. So you have to be extremely, extremely careful. You have to understand your budget. You have to understand how much you can survive, and at what point you can go bankrupt or put yourself in bankruptcy, because some people losing houses, losing money, losing families because of business. So it's pretty risky to do it. You have to do it smart. You have to do it right. I did this at the point where I felt inside myself that I get to the point that I feel I can succeed. I have this feeling that absolutely we must succeed, and that was never left me alone for the first 3 years. I was still going, trying, and at the end of the day, it's materialized to a little success. I don't say huge success, a little success.
Ruslan, I know that the most of your workforce is today concentrated in India, right?
Actually, we are across the world in 6 different countries. A majority of the guys are in Ukraine as well as in India. That's correct. That's the major testing centers we have. We have actually 4 offices in India, and we have 10 offices in Ukraine as well. So this is basically the European as well as the Indian resources which are available to support various of different customers and clients. And some of the people are in United States working at the client facilities as well, supporting clients on site.
I would say Indian people are quite successful. For example, Satya Nadella, I know the CTO of the Twitter. So what do you think? What is the key secret of the Indians?
So the secret source of success, and I've been dealing with a lot of Indian guys throughout my career. I mean, practically when I started 23 years ago, I used to have offshore teams, and all of those vendors were from India. So I made up, a lot of friends and met a lot of great people in India. But I was always impressed with the hard work which Indian people put. They very flexible. They working extremely hard, day and night, weekends, and they put a lot of effort into this. And not only effort, but they putting the heart and soul into something which they do. And in my opinion, if you are enthusiastic, if you are really love what you do, and you continuously wants to improve and continuously challenging yourself and work hard, you will be successful in anything what you do. This is my personal belief, and for that reason, I met a lot of successful people from India who built very, very big organizations and big companies from scratch. Again, by working hard, by being leaders, by being and leading people and implementing the right cultures within the organizations, because the culture is extremely important. The culture for people, the spirit within the organization, definitely helping you to be successful and boosting your productivity levels as well. And that's the reason why in my organization, when I'm hiring and I personally interviewing every single candidate, there is not a single candidate who started working with us without my final interview. When I talk to people, I say, personality and your attitude is the most important thing. Your skill set, we can train, you can learn this. That's not the problem. But the personality, the attitude, the culture to us is extremely, extremely important. QA mentor, and I can say that, and you can, my guys can attest, anybody, you can call and interview. There is no politics in this organization. That was the only thing which I wanted to implement. And I said that there will never be any politics in this organization. Any politicians will be outside working for some other organizations, but not the QA mentor. And that's extremely, extremely important for me. I will close eyes, to anything, but not, the attitude, the arrogance, or playing politics within the organization. So that's, to me, it's number one priority, and that's the reason why we're trying to hire people who wants to build a culture and build not just a culture, but a family, because you're spending most of the time at work more than with your spouse or kids. You're spending time with your coworkers, and for that reason, the culture, the health within the organization extremely important, and that's the main driver for successful organizations and successful teams and successful enterprises.
Okay, you told that you have impressive list of clients now, 3 years of QA mentor, and you're still SEO. So it looks like you're still not bored. So what challenges you have now?
Absolutely. So definitely, I'm not bored. I'm solving a lot of issues, lots of problems. There are certain areas which I know we need to polish up and we need to improve. We're constantly improving. We never stop. We never look behind to see our previous success. We always look forward, and that's empower us to move forward because there is a huge, huge potentials and there is a big race for us. And we are not even in the middle of the race. We're at the beginning of the race. And the race just started for us. So there's plenty of interesting opportunities for us across the board. There's a lot of interesting challenges which we are trying to solve nowadays. I mean, challenges with the automation where everybody thinking of the automation as a magic tool. Everybody wants to implement and integrate everything in the automation and think that automation will solve all the problems and all the issues in the world. And this is the challenge where we try to explain that the automation is not the solution for all the challenges, all the problems. Same goes with the DevOps. Like some companies wanted to jump from Agile to DevOps, and they think that all of their problems with magically will go away. That's not really the case. So educating, providing training, guidance, education, coaching to various of different people we'll talk to. And we talk to so many people across the board. This is our mission to provide guidance, provide education, provide training, share knowledge. This is what we like to do. We don't like to hide information. Many clients, many customers asking, Ruslan, but you're sharing all your secrets. We have no secrets. We want you to utilize and leverage our strategies, our methodologies, our best practices. Why? Because we want you to succeed. We want you to build the products and make them successful so you can generate more revenue. That's our goal, that's our dream, and that's why we're trying to resolve many, many problems. And our goal is, and many people laughing from this, we want to be the next McDonald's in quality assurance and testing space. What it means is we're trying to promote our methodologies and best practices and strategies, which are available on our website. They are free there. Anybody can read them. We wanted to implement the footprint in every country in the world and help many companies locally to achieve that maturity level of quality assurance and testing. So in other words, testing McDonald's for testing, through QA Mentor, that's our goal. That's our ultimate dream. And this is where we're aiming towards. Obviously, it's a big, big work ahead of us. And for that reason, it's very challenging. And for the next 10 years, it will never be bored.
Okay, thank you. And about automation, what is the ratio of manual QA and automation engineers in a QA mentor?
So it's a good question. If you would ask me what's the industry ratio for any projects nowadays, I would say right now what we see on the market is for 3 developer, there is one QA. Now, this QA typically, and everybody, the demand is for this QA to be also experienced in the automation. Right. And I will talk about this, but let me address your question. So within the QA mentor, in terms of the automation, we have 56 automation engineers. Now, automation engineers is a little bit different from I know automation, I can run scripts and I can create basic scripts. It's a different thing because if that's the case, then everybody can do that. But automation engineer is somebody who actually can really understand the importance of the automation for a particular project, understand how to calculate return on investment initially to prove the client that that's the way to go and that's the reason to do the automation. Because not in all the cases you need to do automation. I'm a big fan of the automation, but I'm a big fan of starting the automation at the right time when the foundational level and major things are ready for it. Like, for example, the manual test cases, right? If you don't have the manual test cases in place and everybody's arguing and can argue with me on this, they said, well, we can start automation without test cases at all. Yes, definitely you can do that. And we did that as well. But if you really want to follow a disciplined approach, if you really wanted to achieve a comprehensive coverage of your regression testing and not miss a single scenario which you need to automate and rely on this during your regression testing cycle, then you have to be absolutely sure that from the manual perspective, you have a sufficient coverage of your regression functional testing first. Okay, so again, there's multiple things. There are so many preconditions which you need to put in place in order to start automation and in order to be successful in the automation, because automation is not the magic. Okay, automation is a very, very disciplined process which needs to be properly planned, properly think of. You need to have a proper skill set of resource pool to support the automation in order to be successful. Or automation will becomes like a game. Like my daughter plays with different game, got bored, oh, let's do it another one. And throughout the whole my career, I've been noticing that people start with automation on one tool. They play around, they learn it, and they said, well, let's try another tool. It might be better. They start playing with another tool, implementing this. Then, oh, there is a new tool came to the market. Let's start doing this. So they constantly playing around with the different tools, but they forgot that the real point is return on investment, making sure that automation is really helping you with your testing process, speeding up, execution, turnaround time. But not only that, but you have the comprehensiveness of the coverage, which you can rely on, and you can sleep well that if you run your regression testing cycle, there will be no defects identified after you complete the execution of your automation scripts. And you can heavily rely on those results. And you don't have to say, oh, I'm not relying on my automation. I still have to go and do manual testing, and I spent another 2 weeks doing manual testing. That's not the right approach. So automation, it's a very debatable topic where a lot of people have their own opinions and arguments to this, but we've been doing automation for many years. In some cases, it's very successful. In some cases, it's not successful, and it's not successful for different reasons. So before we start on any automation, we have to evaluate. We have to do a lot of due diligence up front. I give you an example. A year ago, I actually wrote an article in LinkedIn on this topic. One company called us, and I had a call with my sales guy together. And the company were looking to automate their around 550, I think, manual test cases. All of those test cases were around roles and permissions, roles and permissions for their users. And they wanted to automate this. And they called us and they said, please provide us estimation on this. Now, my first question was, why do you need to automate this? Like, what is your goal? And they said, our goal is to automate this because it's a very stable area within the application. There is, the code is very stable. There is no changes. There is no defects. So I said, if there is no code changes, if there is no defects, why do you need to automate this? And they said, well, but, this is the approach. You have to automate the most stable code and the most stable components and most stable functionalities. And I said, for what? And I said, when was the last time you had a code change relating to the roles and permissions for this application? When was the last time you added additional role or additional permission for the user levels in that application? The answer I got, it was 3.5 years ago, 3 years ago. I don't remember exactly. So I said, you didn't change the code for so many years. You didn't find any defects within that module, roles and permissions, for so many years. But you want to invest another $20,000 just to automate that component, to run this every time, every day for no use because there is no underlying code changes. Why do you need to waste this time? I'm not going to do it. I don't need your money, And my guys, the sales guy said, Ruslan, what are you talking about? Are you crazy? You're refusing work for the client, instead of making money. I said, no, we're not going to make money. If it's not bringing any value, if it's not bringing any benefits, we don't want to do it. We don't want to, waste money. So that's very important to understand.
Thank you. And one more question about automation. Do you agree with the opinion that automation is more about programming than quality assurance?
Automation is not more about programming. Automation is more about systematic approach to assure that you can execute, test scenarios, test cases, regression testing, anytime you need this to be executed and help you out to speed up the whole process. Now, automation requires programming skills, object-oriented programming background, scripting skills. It's extremely important. If you want to build a mature framework and scripts, you absolutely must know fundamentals of programming. Okay, but there are multiple tools nowadays, scriptless automation tools, which allows you to also build scripts without really fully understanding the object-oriented programming. Now, those tools trying to get there, they're getting there. We're monitoring those companies and those tools. They're not there yet because they can do only that much at this point of time. I mean, and I've been honest and I'm saying the honest things, although they might say, well, that's not true. This is based on our understanding and our opinion. But in my opinion, automation is not all about scripting and programming. Automation is all about understanding the concepts of what needs to be automated and how it needs to be automated, because there's different layers of the automation. We can talk about API layer for the automation. We can talk about general functional UI-based automation. We can talk about automation in robotics automation nowadays. We can talk about test data validations and verifications and data comparison, where you don't really need to know programming to do these types of automation checks as well. So not a lot of things when we talk about automation are purely object-oriented programming concepts. A lot of things are outside of that, and that's where I feel the market needs more innovative solutions and tools, because you don't need a developer, right, to start writing scripts and programs to test the application, right? You don't want that. You want to enable your testers, okay, who conducting testing manually, right, with ability to check and verify and validate certain things through the automation processing to speed up the execution, to have the disciplined approach, to establish continuous integration, continuous delivery pipeline, and constantly verify and validate your new builds. But the key is that many people are successful in the automation for two major reasons. Number one, they have a good ratio on the Scrum team or on the Agile project. So in other words, if you want to automate your user stories within the same sprints, you can do that. I am a big fan for that, but it's never worked. And the reason why it's never worked, because you don't have enough resources as part of the Scrum team to support automation, right? Now, the another thing is you might have developers who are tasked to do automation. Why, Google, Microsoft, Apple, successful? You have to check who are the part of their teams as that's. Who are those as that's? A lot of them are former developers. I personally know and talk to them and management teams. A lot of them are from the previous development background, right? That's why you're successful. The ratio on the projects are the right ratio. They have enough people to support automation. But nowadays, everybody try to do everything. We'll say, well, you need to build a manual test case first, then you need to automate this test case first, then you have regression testing, which you need to maintain, then your script failed, you need to fix it. So one person is doing multiple different things, and at the same time, that becomes very challenging and not very effective. And that's the reason why many organizations trying automation and failing in the automation. And the reason being is what I just described.
Thank you.
And I would like to express a little bit different point of view on Daria's point about automation. I would say, and would like to know your opinion, that when people I would say, manual testers switching to the automation, they are losing focus. So instead of focusing on quality, they focus on technical things. And when I think you've been visit a lot of conferences, and when we are talking about, I would say, testing, people mostly talking about metrics, quality, approach. When we are on the conference on test automation, we are talking about, I would say, run in cloud, uh, new framework, but not about quality. What do you think?
Absolutely. Again, unfortunately, automation, and this is what we see nowadays, are driving the focus of quality a little bit on the side, right? Many people are getting proud that, oh, look, I automated 25,000 test cases and they're running, But the question is, it's great, they're running, it's perfectly fine. But how does it relate to a quality? How does it improve the quality? How does it, integrates into the quality success, right? How do you know that you build this 25,000 test cases and you have a sufficient coverage there? How do you know that the time which you invested in the automation, you validated and verified everything initially manually? You had enough time to design the proper test cases. You verify and validate all the business rules and business logic within the application, right? Not just sending, oh, look at the metrics, I automated all the user story. It's great, you can automate the user story, but at the end of the day, in production, if there will be still defect leakages, in production, if their customers will still complain that this is not the functionality or report which I requested, why it's working this way versus the other way, all your automation is nothing in comparison to this. So it's extremely important for people to understand, don't lose focus on quality just because you have cool technologies to automate things. As I said, and I can repeat again, I am a big believer for the automation. Automations definitely can help us down the road and helping us as well, but you have to do it the right way. You have to do it at the right time. You have to do it with the right skill set, not just for the sake of doing it to say, look, I'm cool, I know automation, my QA department is doing automation, but at the end of the day, what that automation translates into, that's the question.
Okay, you are talking a lot that automation, it's not a silver bullet, and there are a lot of issues with automation, and one of them is that losing the focus. So I know that there are a lot of other different problems with automation. Could you please enumerate the biggest problems your customer face with the test automation?
So the problem nowadays, number one, is that automation execution takes tremendous amount of time to execute it if you're using it on a single machine or in a couple different machines. So for instance, there's companies who migrated from UFT, Unified Functional Test, to open source tools, Selenium, Java framework technology. Now, they converted this because they wanted to save on licenses. They don't want to spend money on the enterprise level licenses from UFT. So they have 25,000 test cases covering their ecosystem. Now, they have their own test labs, which they're running those scripts. They have 5, 6, 7, 10 machines, but still execution time is tremendous. It takes 48 hours to complete the execution. So nowadays it's a big challenge. The solution to this is the cloud right now. You can implement a lot of things on the cloud and run through the Jenkins and have your scripts running through the Azure or Amazon cloud servers, where you put your infrastructure and execution and framework in there and execute this in a matter of hours, because you can scale horizontally. You can have as many machines running and executing your scripts as you need. So instead of 2 days or 48 hours turnaround time, you can go down to 1 hour. That's the biggest challenge which we see nowadays, and that's relating to the infrastructure and the execution time of the scripts. Okay. The second problem is that many of the companies who wants to automate and they looking for the automation and implementations of the automation, they think that this automation will be there forever for them. You don't need to spend time to maintain this, and it will bring and generate profit and return on investment throughout the whole time. So what happened is they invest the money, the automation framework is built, the automation script is built, but you have to maintain this because every time you deliver a new feature, new sprint, you're breaking existing functionalities. It's like a car maintenance. You continuously need to maintain the car. If you're not going to maintain the car, it's going to will be broken and will be dusted sitting in your backyard, and you would not be able to start. That's what we see nowadays. Many companies invested into the automation, big amount of dollars, and all of those frameworks, all of those scripts are dusted, sitting there on the shelf. Nobody is using them, and they still say, well, but we invested so much money already. Why it's not working? What's happening here? That's another problem. You need to understand the investment is not just one-time investment. It's a continuous investment, and you absolutely need to dedicate resources to maintain your scripts and keep up with the scripts and keep running and executing those scripts on a daily basis to make sure that those scripts are always ready for the execution anytime you need the execution to be started. Whether you're doing continuous integration and delivery and have 20 builds per day and you want to run this every time, you absolutely need to stay on top of it. In case any scripts fails, you need to understand why they're failure. Is it a defect, or maybe it's your script? Maybe synchronization problems within the script itself. Maybe some property objects got changed, and you need to reflect this in your script. So you absolutely need to stay on top of these things. That's the challenge. That's what people don't understand. They think they invest one time and they can leverage and run this anytime without any problems, anytime they want to. Another third problem with challenges relating to the automation is the fact that many companies want the automation to be utilized by their people. And for that reason, you have to build a framework which is self-intuitive and easy to use for the execution purposes, where anybody can utilize and leverage that execution and run the scripts themselves. Now, running the scripts, not just pressing the button, but understanding that behind the scripts, there might be a data components to it where you need to change the data every time you need to run certain different scripts. So you need to be able to go to that data-driven table or file or property file. It all depends on the structure of the framework, and be able to educate users where to change, what to change, how to change. In other aspects of it, okay, you run the scripts, and all of a sudden you have 100 failures in the report. So you look at the report, 100 failures. Oh my God, what are you going to do? Tomorrow I need to go live, and you have 100 failures, and you don't know what those 100 failures are attributed to. Is it functional problems because there's real problems in the application, or it's a script problem, so there's environmental problems, so there are multiple other issues. So you need to react very quickly and very fast. So people who are not familiar with the scripts, they never build the scripts, they look at the reports and they see the problem. They don't know, is it a problem because there is an issue within the script itself, or there is a problem because there is a functional issue. So what has happened is, historically, somebody needs to go into the environment and double check that test case, and that needs to be done manually. You need to spend time to do this, and you need to prove. If you have a problem there, yes, there is a problem, failure from the scripts, and you can reconfirm that. But if you see everything is good, and you see the script fails, and it's a false alarm, then you got confused. Then you said, well, wait a minute, what's happening here? It's not a real problem, and it's confusing me now, so I need to fix this script. So they need to find somebody who did the script before, or some of the intelligent automation engineer who would address this problem. So tomorrow or after 1 hour, they're going to run the script. This problem will not occur again, okay? So that's types of challenges which are out there. Many companies want to go a different route. They don't want to establish frameworks through the object-oriented programming. They want to use very easy-to-use scriptless automation tools where anybody would be able to write a script. And that has some limitations. You cannot really cover everything with that types of approach. There will be some limitations, and there will be certain areas where you're not going to be able to test and validate, and you're going to still be able to run this manually. So it's going to be half automation implementation, right? So multiple different problems relating to the automation, which customers not fully aware of.
Great, thanks.
I know that automation is only one from a big list of the services that your company provides. I wanted to ask what other services are popular. What are your customers looking for nowadays?
Thank you for this question. It's a very interesting question. So when we started to build the menu, and I always was in the opinion that if you're coming to any software testing company, you want to see that menu, what that menu is. It's like in a restaurant. You're coming to the restaurant and you see the appetizers, you see the main courses, you see the drinks, you see the sweets, you see multiple different things. So we try, to build the most comprehensive coverage of various of different services which we provide. Now, we're offering 32 quality assurance testing services, covering practically every single inch of the software testing and software quality assurance domain. So we have some unique services which only belongs to our company, our organization. But to your question, there are multiple services. One of the core services, which is very popular nowadays, which many of the companies, organizations are looking for, is the functional compatibility testing. Many products needs to be compatible on the different devices, different operating systems, different service pack, different resolutions. And for that reason, we have our own lab. We have over 420 mobile devices in our possession, which we can cover practically every single mobile device, from the iOS to Android operating systems. And we're covering over 500 browser operating systems combinations, different versions of that. So compatibility testing, a very, very demanding mobile testing. Automation testing, extremely demanding, from the API testing to the functional regression automation to the backend verification and validation to the XML validation and data generation automation, performance automation and security automation integrated with a DevOps continuous delivery, continuous integration pipeline, where we have checks and balances for the penetration testing implemented, as well as the performance testing scripts running every time when there is a new build to verify and validate certain areas as well. Those are very booming and upcoming services. We have multiple on-demand services. Many companies looking on demand to utilize, for instance, they shorten resources, they receive user story requirements, functional specifications, and they want to start and jump into the building test cases. So we can jump in and start building test cases. We have a tool which called Test Magic, which allows us to build manual test cases through the automatic processing, through the modeling, through the flowchart design first, and then it's converting automatically into the manual test cases, covering all the angles and all permutations and combinations. So that's one of the interesting services which we offer. Crowdsourcing service, very interesting. Many companies around the world looking for localization testing or testing on different languages: Chinese, traditional Chinese, simplified Chinese, Arabic, Italian, Russian, you name it. We have a pool of resources, crowdsource community, 12,000 plus professional testers who can participate in any types of activities and test from various of different countries, testing different languages, testing on different devices, testing from different networks and connectivities. And that's what, very, very interesting service which we offer. QA audit process improvements. Many companies want to mature the existing processes. They're looking for suggestions, recommendations, transformations from the typical waterfall approach into the agile or DevOps culture. That's where we help many companies looking for trainings. We're conducting over 26 different corporate trainings on different topics. We also have the e-learning, where we actually providing very economical courses through the e-learning module. We have one of the unique courses which can train somebody to become a QA engineer, QA tester in 30 days. We have our own book, which we basically built with my partner, Roman Savin. And the whole course, which we actually built for anybody who wants to become a QA tester and do it in a very, very short period of time. Yes, not everybody believes that it's possible to do it in 30 days, but our program specifically covers, if you dedicate 3 to 4 hours a day for 30 days, you would be able to achieve and you will be able to become, and not only become, but you can go after this completion of the course and take ISTQB certified. 87% of our graduate students from that course go and take ISTQB, a foundational level exam, and pass this from the first time. So it's possible.
Okay, thank you. And one more question about QA mentor processes. How your testers maintain effective communication with the remote developers team? And are there any disadvantages of being separate from each other?
Very good question, and it's a major problem nowadays that resources are co-located in different places, different time zones. Many companies actually are afraid to go to the outsourcing model or outsourcing route because they don't have enough overlap. Typically, offshore resources overlapping for a couple hours only, and that's where the major problem is. We are aware of all those problems, and we address all those problems through our very flexible solutions and services. So number one, we have our own service which called testing in your time zone. What that service does is we practically covering all time zones in the world. We have 5 shifts operations, including the weekend shifts, where we're covering 24/7 and working in parallel to a particular time zone. So whether our client is in Eastern time zone or Pacific time zone or Central time zone, or in Europe or in Saudi Arabia or Dubai, we would be able to have and align our resources working side by side closely, yes, remotely, but on the same time zone where they available to join any calls, any Skype calls or any GoToMeetings or Zoom calls or simply call or work through the Slack channel. We would be able to accommodate and we will be able to do that. And again, all the internal processes, communication is crucial. We have internally specialized courses on communication, how to communicate effectively with each other and with the clients. So everybody is trained on that course, but everybody is enabled with their own Zoom, GoToMeeting, Join Me meetings programs. So nowadays, you don't need to call internationally. Back in the days, I remember I have a vendor testing team before from Sintel, long time back, and they called me all the time from their phones, and I felt so bad because we were talking hours on the phone with them discussing different things, and somehow I felt bad because they spending so much money on the international calls, and I was trying to hurry up. I don't want them to spend money. Nowadays, you don't need to spend money. You have all of these great channels available where you can communicate free of charge through various of different channels. So when we establish a contract with the client, we're asking them, what is the communication mechanism you would like to utilize? You would like to have GoToMeeting, Zoom, Skype, Slack channels. They proposing to us, we are flexible, and the communication is the key, and that's why we want all of our guys, not just leads or managers, to talk to clients. We want all of our resources to be able to talk directly to the clients and communicate with the clients. That's the goal. That's the idea.
I have very specific question for you. I know that you had a discussion with Michael Bolton about test automation, and if I'm not mistaken, Michael said that test automation engineers is actually are not testers. They are, I would say, developers that doing some development to automate the things which been tested manually before. You had different opinion. Could you clarify?
Correct. So I don't like to isolate automation engineers or performance engineers or security engineers or manual testers and categorize them. I don't like to do that. In my opinion, a professional QA tester should possess understanding around all of those areas, and there should not be just a single role. Okay, automation engineers will blindly build scripts only and deliver scripts. If we will achieve this culture, it's going to be a very bad culture, okay? Because this specific process or procedures where we're isolating and we're dedicating just the automation engineers to build scripts only and not looking holistically into the overall application and span of the application and functionality level of this, it's not good because you're not going to add any value to the application, to the product, to the maturity of the product. What your value will be is just delivering a script which can be leveraged and utilized and executed. But you're not part of the quality of the product, quality initiatives of this. That's why, my opinion is totally different. There shouldn't be any sort of distinguishes between the different rules. Everybody needs to contribute towards quality. Everybody needs to test and be able to test the product for the users, not just say, oh, I am an automation engineer, I'm not supposed to find defects, or I'm not supposed to provide recommendations on how to improve the application or how to improve usability of the application. I'm going to just do the automation, and that's why we're going to call automation developer. I'm going to build the scripts, and that's my role. If we're going to have these types of culture, we're missing something, and that's not supposed to be that way. Everybody needs to contribute equally to the quality and understand the application, understand the functionality. Many of the guys, and he is right, because many of the guys just concentrating on building the scripts, they're not even understanding functionality behind. What they're giving is manual test cases with the steps. They're looking at the steps and automating and writing the code behind to build the scripts. They're not even understanding the meaning of the functionality, what goes behind. Why is that report providing this data? Or why this functionality behaves this way versus the other way? Or why we're entering this data versus another data? No. You absolutely must understand the functionality, the business rules, the business behind the application, and the purpose of every single functionality, what that functionality does for the users, how it simplifies their life, how it generates revenue, how it solves problems for their customers. That's what you absolutely must know if you consider to be a quality, engineer, or classify yourself as a quality engineer or quality automation developer or whatever role is. It doesn't matter. The titles means nothing, okay? The modern professional tester should possess all different qualities and areas within the software test lifecycle. They need to understand not just the functionality, they need to understand performance aspect of it, security aspects of it, automation, internals. Like, for example, if you open the hood of the car, you're looking at, okay, that's the motor. That's not enough. You need to understand how this motor works, okay? So that's extremely, extremely important. Many testers nowadays just clicking the button, entering dummy information, identifying cosmetic issues, small misalignments here, different color there, reporting the defect and say, oh, look, I found 20 defects, showing to their managers. Managers look at it, oh, wow, very good, you found 20 defects. But that's useless. That's useless information. That's useless testing. That's useless results. And that's not how it's supposed to be. Okay?
But don't you think that this is an utopia? Because it's nice to tell that quality assurance engineer should know everything. But if you will take, for example, usability and will take security, these areas need totally different skills, totally different tools, and one person can't know everything. So basically, if we will have an engineer that knows usability, security, performance, automation, manual testing, we will have a person that knows everything a bit and can go deep in the area.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. I didn't say that the person who will know all of this will do all of this. You need to know to be not ignorant in terms of those areas. So, for example, security testing, right? Obviously, there is a security trainings out there for ethical security testing. You need to understand how to utilize security penetration tools. You need to understand various of different OWASP principles on how to conduct various of different attacks, right, and ethical hacking strategies to be applied. But you don't need to actually learn and study all of this to do this. You need to understand that when you're doing a functional testing, there is the security aspects of this, and there is the security aspects across the board, starting from the login, starting from setting and registering, setting the passwords, right? Roles and permissions, accessing different types of screens within the application, different functionalities. So all of this you need to understand from that perspective, from that angle. Same goes for performance testing. Yes, you might not be building performance scripts and running JMeter, BlazeMeter, Octoperf, and many other performance testing tools, but you need to understand what are the issues and problems and undergoing issues when it comes to performance testing. You need to alarm when you're testing something and you face certain areas within the application are problematic, are slow, response time is slow, you conduct a search and it's taking 15 seconds. You have to understand that's the security, that's the performance problem, and you need to alert appropriate people around that area. That's where you need to understand. So in other words, you need that knowledge. I'm not a mechanic, right? But my cars get broken. You need to understand. I'm not going to fix the car, right? I don't know how to fix it, but I need to understand what is the problem, whether it's a transmission issue, whether it's a alternator problem, or whether it's a gas pump went bad, or the engine belt got broken and there's some issues. I'm not going to fix it, but I will be there. So I'm not going to get fooled that somebody will say, well, you need to spend $2,000 to replace this part. And I said, well, but this part has nothing to do with what the problem is. Instead, you need to understand those areas to be nowadays a modern professional tester. The same goes for the usability. In my opinion, anybody can really provide feedback on usability, because this is how you see the product. This is you can put yourself in the shoes of the user and you can see the problems with the application. So you don't need to learn automation to understand usability. So in other words, if you're a security tester, if you're a performance tester, if you're an automation tester, you should be able to provide your own feedback based on your usability assessment per application. And this is what I mean. Absolutely, I agree with you. You cannot do everything and you cannot be trained and be proficient in everything, but you have to have the fundamental base knowledge in all of those areas in order to qualify nowadays as a professional modern testing specialist.
Ruslan, before we move to the questions from the audience, I would like to ask you following question, but not only you and also our audience. What kind of testing seems most perspective in terms of building the career in the future? Guys, please vote in Slido. We need your votes. I'm a little bit surprised that security testing is not considered as one of the most interesting direction. Okay, Ruslan, what do you think about the most interesting direction of the testing to put efforts on and stay demanded on the market? I think you
Yes,
have a lot of yes.
I'm not surprised to see that test automation is leading here, and the reason being that almost every job post, every job requirements nowadays, whether the company really needs automation or not, or thinking about automation, they all put automation skill set required and specializing different types of technologies there. And to me, it's kind of sad to see because in most of those times and most of those cases, the companies do not really will do automation because they will never have time to do automation, and that's the problem. So they confusing people who they want to hire by putting automation skills is required, and if I don't have the automation skills, I will not apply to this position. So that's how misleading it is. So I'm not surprised that test automation, everybody thinking about this, but in my opinion, how and what a current tester to be competitive on the market nowadays, what they need to do nowadays, what they need to learn nowadays. Obviously, the first essential thing, in my opinion, is understanding how to build the proper test case coverage. Okay, it's old school. Yes, that's correct. Everybody thinks, well, I can build the test cases without any problem. But all the issues are started to come up when you're not building the proper test case coverage, when you're not building the proper negative scenarios, integration checkpoints, validations, field validations, verifications, business rules validations, and etc. Everybody say, well, building the test cases manually, it's so easy, so simple. But at the end of the day, this is not the case. You need to learn, you need to understand the coverage, you need to understand how do you know that this user story is covered from all angles and from all perspectives. How do you know that after you test this user story, there will be zero defect leakage at the end of the day, and you can release this user stories to production, and you guarantee that there will be no problems and no issues? That's extremely important. So how to identify the proper test case coverage, how to identify the test case coverage when you're not going to say, look, I built 100,000 test cases. The big number means nothing. Somebody might build 3,000 test cases, but that coverage with 3,000 test cases will be more comprehensive than somebody who will build the test case coverage with 100,000 test cases. So understanding duplications in execution and different paths and different variations, it's extremely, extremely important. There's a lot of different tools on the market which will allow you to guide and train and teach to see that coverage, to avoid and eliminate those unnecessary permutations and combinations which have a very small likelihood of occurring, and really concentrate on something which is extremely, extremely important. So risk-based testing, extremely important aspect. You need to understand how to do it smartly. You should not be doing regression testing and running this manually, thousands of test cases every time when you have a build. That's absolutely not intelligent. Impact analysis, talking with developers, trying to understand what are the changes are, where those changes are, what are the potential impact on different areas and different modules within the application, and then coming up with a structure regression testing coverage. That's what intelligent testing is all about, and that's what is important, because there's so many things which absolutely unrelated to automation testing, security testing, performance testing, which you need to get better at. You need to upgrade those skills. You need to understand the estimation, right? Nowadays, I'm interviewing people every day, right? And a very simple question which I'm asking, you don't need to estimate for somebody else. Estimate for yourself. How would you estimate? Please provide estimation based on the requirements. What is your strategy around it? Not a lot of people knows that. So learn techniques in the estimation. How do you do the estimation? You're not going to come, you're part of the agile team, scrum team, and somebody will ask you, oh, here's a grooming session, and somebody will say, John, how long is it going to take you to test this user story? Well, the user story is never documented. Nobody really discussed about this user story yet. It's going to take me 2 hours. How? When? I mean, where you come with these numbers, right? So test estimation extremely important. Usability testing. That's where many issues are not detected and missed. You need to understand usability. There is a usability study and principles and strategies on how to do the usability testing the proper way. It's not just, oh, I don't like this color, it's red, it should be blue, or this button should be larger or bigger. This is not all about usability testing. There's multiple different mechanics around usability testing, which is extremely, extremely important. You need to know not just how to identify easy cosmetic issues, but you need to understand the critical problems relating to the functionality, relating to calculation, relating to business rules. That's where many testers not really seeing those issues and understanding those problems. You need to become knowledgeable in the subject matter domain which you're supporting, whether it's a healthcare applications or banking applications. You need to understand and build that knowledge to become a subject matter expert, to understand why this functionality, for what purposes, what it will bring to the business, to the customers as well. So I want to warn people that everybody is running towards, let's study automation. If I have the automation in my resume, I'm going to get hired. Well, you might get, but I'm not looking into this, guys. I'm not looking into the automation. If you have the automation skills, you're going to be hired, or you will have a higher priority there. No, to me, the most important is if you are a smart and intelligent tester. And I talked today about a lot of different areas of what smart, intelligent tester means in my eyes. And that's what I need, I want you guys to kind of emphasize. Integration testing, nowadays, different applications integrate with different other third-party systems, upstream systems, downstream systems. You need to know how to test this. Again, does not require automation knowledge or skills or performance or security aspects or architecture. A little bit of architecture, obviously, there, but you need to understand that. So in my opinion, you have a lot of things which you can polish up now, which you think you're aware of it. But when you come to the interview and you've been asked those types of questions, I see, because as I said, we're interviewing a lot of people, I see the same problems, I see the same themes where people that, do not understand certain areas, which they should have understand if they spent in QA, 3-5 years.
Okay, let's move to the questions from the chat. So we have a lot of questions, so up to 1 minute per question. Just 1 minute.
Okay.
How would
all right,
how would
I'll
you
try.
Yes. I also. How would you generally approach API testing?
So API testing, extremely important area. I'm a personal believer in shift left strategies. We're doing a lot of shift strategies, education and implementation. API testing is one of those shift left strategies when you can uncover defects earlier on in the cycle. Before the UI even designed, the API level testing extremely important. From the API perspective, you can do functional testing there, you can do performance testing, security testing, and identify all those issues and areas. Now, we have a course about the API testing, REST services, REST assured services. Whoever sent me on LinkedIn a request that you want this course, I will grant you access free of charge as a gift. Just because you're here participating today, it's going to be our gift for you guys. So whoever wants to understand a little bit more about API testing, write me on LinkedIn. Ruslan, please give me this course, and we will provide you the course. Okay, because I cannot cover this in 1 minute.
Okay, thanks. As a CEO, what's the most important quality metric that you look to capture?
So as the CEO now, is it relating to the company overall, or this is more technical relating to testing? So I'm not 100% sure in this, but let me address this in both angles. So as a CEO, what I'm looking for is extremely important. I'm looking at the several different metrics when it comes to the revenue, the sales, the EBITDA. All of this is extremely important because you need to manage the company and make sure that you have money to pay the bills and pay to your employees. That's extremely important. So that's extremely important metrics. Keep eye on your revenue and your expenditures. Okay. If you're talking about the technical aspects of it on the QA front, then my favorite metrics is defect leakage, because that's reflection to fruits of your work. That's reflections how good your coverage is, how comprehensive your test design is, how good your testing coverage is in terms of identifying and avoiding, eliminating, and preventing defects from occurring and missing them in production.
How can we motivate testers when management always appreciate developers?
Very good. So how can we motivate testers? You can easily motivate them by showcasing the metrics of how many defects you identified during testing and how many defects are missed, by developers because they're not doing code reviews or unit testing. So that's a good motivation, motivational metrics for the management, just to showcase, look, not everything is perfect on the development side. This is the fruits of the work from the testing team. This is how many issues, how many defects I detected. But you always have to have a root causes associated with that, because if there is a defects missed and all of them are attributed to code error, that means it's a reflection, negative reflections on the development side. So you have to have the metrics, and the only metrics will prove your sort of success or your meaningfulness, meaning of your work in front of the management. And metrics never lies, and for that reason, you need to learn how to gather and collect and capture metrics throughout software development lifecycle, because that's extremely, extremely important for the organizations, for the management to make a decision, to make process improvements, and to direct certain action items to a certain levels.
Okay, in the age of DevOps and CI/CD, when companies like Amazon goes to prod every minute with automated tests, do you see everyone following that path?
I see that everybody's trying to follow this path. It doesn't mean that everybody is successful in executing this path. Yes, Amazon, Apple, Microsoft successful in doing this, and I already explained before the reason being why they're successful in doing this, because they have the proper ratio of the quality engineers within the teams, as well as they have the skill set of those engineers who came from the programming development backgrounds, and for that reason, they're capable of building very, very mature and solid frameworks and automation scripts. But I like the DevOps model, but once again, you have to be ready for it. You cannot just say, okay, we're going to implement DevOps and all your problems will go away. You have to be ready for it. It's like you are in the kindergarten now, then you have to go to the preschool, then high school, then you have to go to college, then get the MBA, then PhD. You have to go through the maturity levels in order to get to the DevOps model. You cannot jump in and become next Microsoft with a very flawless and mature DevOps continuous integration, continuous delivery pipeline model.
Okay, do you think testers should know how to write unit tests?
My personal opinion, the tester should not really know how to write, should not know how to write the unit tests. Developers, that's the development responsibility. Developers needs to be responsible for their own code. They need to be responsible for what they're delivering, for their own internal validation through the code reviews or unit tests or static code analysis. But I personally believe the tester it's not supposed to be his or her responsibility to do unit tests.
What is your thought on including risks as a part of the test coverage?
It's an excellent question. Whoever asked this, risk-based approach, again, I personally believe in this, and we're utilizing this every day. I don't believe in a big bang approach where you run regression testing all the time. You have to do a risk-based approach, risk analysis, impact analysis approach. You need to understand the riskiest areas. You need to understand the impacted areas and concentrate it around those areas. So risk mitigation is part of our QA job. It's extremely important to understand how to mitigate the risk so the risk will not materialize into the issue and how to address this properly. And that's our responsibility as a quality assurance and testing professional.
What is your approach towards educating the customer? How do you make them to listen to you?
It's not easy. It's not easy to make customers listen to you. In my career, I have a lot of debates. Internal customers were not wanted to listen to me, and you have to be, calm. Obviously, your emotions could go out, and you said, "What do you mean? I've been doing this for many years. I know how to do it." No, you have to prove this. Prove this with evidences, prove this with metrics, prove this with results, prove this with KPIs, prove this with return on investment. Only then you can convince customers and clients. And you have to do it extremely carefully, extremely diplomatically, because you can easily lose the customer or client, make that client angry and frustrated. So it's a skills, it's a psychology, it's a technical expertise, it's all of this combined together, and how you need to do it.
How do you showcase the value of the automation to the customers?
This is very important. Bottom line is upfront, you need to showcase return on investment, right? You need to show why they want to invest the money and potentially what's the return on investment will be, and explain them all pros and all cons. Don't forget about the cons. You have to be honest with your customer and explain there is a maintenance. It's extremely time consuming and expensive. You have to do that. There is multiple others. We discussed about challenges, automation challenges previously during this session. So you have to carefully understand and showcase return on investment first, and explain the benefits as well as disadvantages, and explain the customer what is your sort of strategy to move forward. What is your goal? Do you want to control the automation later on after the vendor completes automation? You want your guys to continue building scripts later on? You want to rely on the vendor for the future? What is your view? What is your strategy? And based on that, you have to come up with pros and cons and absolutely return on investment. Without this, no automation should start.
Okay. What do you say to the companies like Facebook who take pride in fact that they don't hire any testers?
It's their choice. Obviously, it's their mentality, it's their methodology. As I told you, those guys have very strong developers who are writing the code. But I think personally, it's a big mistake. It's not all about automation. It's not all about quality engineers as that's. It's about testers who have the right mindset, who has ability to provide recommendations, enhancements, suggestions, and make products successful. Not make automation successful, but make a product successful. It's very important. And I would suggest, to Facebook. They're a successful company, but we see across the board some of the issues and problems within the Facebook itself, and usability issues as well. So maybe they should reconsider and hire regular testers, as well.
Hope they're watching the video. So yes.
They can hire us if they want.
Okay. How much education should tester ideally have? There are some school dropouts teaching testing. What are your thoughts about that? I know probably that person, but
Correct. So again, I don't mind who is teaching. It could be a dropout. It could be a person with 1 year of experience, obviously, right? It's all about, who you trust and what do you think from the maturity level of that person. Now, I personally hire people even if they don't have a formal college degree education. In my organizations, there's many testers, many QA engineers without degrees, and I don't mind that. Okay. At the same time, obviously, education is very important. We all want educated people, but in my opinion, it's not super critical or super important. Now, understanding about the QA concept, methodology, best practices, it's very, very important. And for that reason, you have to go to the very trusted, school. But if you drop out and you learn QA and you're training the QA and you're really good at it, why not? I'm not opposing any of those people to provide trainings.
Okay. What is your message for young entrepreneurs in the software testing domain?
Yes. So the message is, guys, again, at some point of time, you would like to try something bigger. You wanted to, start the company or maybe start a product in quality assurance and testing domain. I'm all in support for this. You have to believe your dreams. You have to believe in success, but you have to be extra careful. At the same time, you have to be ready for this. When I started, as I said, I had the gut feeling inside me, which said, Ruslan, you can do it. You can be successful. You up to that level already that you will be able to do it. So I felt comfortable. Before that, I wanted to start. I didn't feel comfortable. It took me 5 years after, basically 10 years after I spent 10 years in quality assurance and testing, when I decided, 13 years, 13 years, when I decided to start my own company. And it was not, easy decision. It was a pretty challenging and tough decision to do it. So believe in your dreams, follow your dreams, don't give up. Be very smart about this, because you can jeopardize your family life and comfort zone. You have to be smart, and you have to try, but be extremely smart. Don't go too far. Don't make yourself bankrupt completely. If you fail, it's okay to fail. You can get back. You can analyze your mistakes. You can try again, but don't jeopardize your life and the life of your family or the loved ones. That's not good.
How do you generalize the regression testing with respect to performance, API, and security? And what will be the best approach for that?
Very good question, because many people think when it comes to regression testing, you just do the functional regression testing, making sure there is no adversely impacted functionalities. But at the same time, when you do regression testing, it's not all about functionality. It's also all about performance and security testing as well. So when it comes to the regression testing, when you're doing a sprint or a release, I am a big fan for rerunning the baseline to make sure there is no performance degradations, which occurs by implementing additional user stories. Now, at the same time, once again, apply a risk-based approach. If you feel and you have a good evidences by talking to the development teams that there's absolutely no possibility of the impact on the performance side, there was no code changes underlying potential impact on the performance, sometimes you can even skip that, again, if you have limited time. But I'm a big fan of doing it and rebasing and running the baseline and running the test again and comparing with existing baseline and see where the performance are degraded or not. Same goes for the security testing. A little code change can impact and can detect vulnerability. So I'm a big fan not doing it on a daily basis when you have multiple builds, but do it at the right time, at the right place, but also analyze, apply risk-based approach, impact analysis. Don't just do it for the sake of doing it if it's not necessary, but include this as part of the regression testing cycles. It's very, very important, especially when you don't trust developers who continuously impacting the application, and you constantly seeing performance or security related issues, release after release, build after the build. So it all depends.
Your thoughts about the ISTQB certification?
So what is my thought? I'm not a poser of the ISTQB certification. I actually encourage people to take certification to see, their knowledge and get that sort of industry mark. I know many people opposing ISTQB because they think it's outdated. Yes, certain things are outdated there, but not everything. And, some people said it's not good, you can do it better, create your own organization, create your own certification body, create your own quizzes, and do it better if you can. But as far as I know, it's a good sort of validation level to see that the person understand QA, understand basics, understand fundamentals, and in my opinion it's a good thing.
Okay. Can you please summarize your experience while you were testing for commercial cards? I read you were the part of city as well.
Yes, I was part of the city. I was doing commercial cards, managing commercial cards. So not sure what experience. I had a great experience there. I learned a lot of things. It was very challenging projects, very interesting projects, which, we had to do data migrations and multiple heavy lifting backend validations and verifications things. So I don't know sort of where you're coming from this question. It was challenging. It was interesting experience. I like my experience back at City because I learned a lot of things. I have a great manager under Testing Center of Excellence, which gave me a lot of challenging projects, very challenging, and that's what I wanted and that's what I liked. And at some point when I got bored, I left. But it was a great experience there. Very interesting company and a lot of learning where I can meet a lot of vendors. Cognizant, Infosys, Tata Consulting, all the different vendors. I saw it, witnessed how they operate, how they sort of work. It was unbelievable experience for me.
Okay. What's the best approach to perform the audit of QA process within the project or organization?
The best approach, and I mean, first of all, it's great that somebody who's raising this question thinking about this. It's extremely important. You don't have to hire external auditor to conduct self-audit or try to understand gaps and understand the maturity. Obviously, there is a methodology behind this. So the company, a third-party company like testing vendor would be able to help you to understand and establish this auditing questionnaire to extract the information and rank answers and come up with a maturity score. But it's extremely, extremely important to do. And you can even start internally by doing post-implementation reviews after your sprints or after completed projects. If you're doing it, this is part of the audit process as well. This is triggering the auditing process. Obviously, the auditing process has much more components to it. Like, for instance, our auditing process have 272 areas of assessments. 272 areas of assessments, okay, across the board, across software development lifecycle. But it's extremely important to do self-audits within your organization, self-audits on your processes, self-audits on your methodology, on your deliverables, on skill sets, on people, and not only from the testing perspective, but from requirements gathering perspective, development perspective, the whole agile, DevOps, waterfall approach, whatever the methodology is, perspective to get better and understand what needs to be improved.
Ruslan, thank you for your time. Mostly to us, 2 hours we are speaking. I think.
Wow, went so fast.
Yes, yes. It was very pleasant to talk with you with a lot of insights, a lot of honest answers, and I think you really give a lot of inspiration to the junior testers and probably some senior testers, or probably managers will start their own enterprise. So I would like to say thank you from all our team.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks from
Thank
all
you,
of us.
absolutely, guys. It was absolutely a pleasure. Very interesting questions, honest questions, and that's why I said I want sporadic questions. I don't want to be prepared to any questions. I like questions which are right there where I don't have any preparations whatsoever. So I can talk from my heart and I can provide this honest questions and not sugarcoat something or not being diplomatic. I like black and white to say the way it is. So again, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much, guys, for inviting me. Thank you for the audience. Excellent questions. You guys can always approach me on LinkedIn. Unfortunately, I reached the max of connections over 30,000. You cannot accept any more connections. That's a big problem. That's the limitation of LinkedIn. I don't know what to do. Some people think I'm very bad or arrogant. I'm not accepting, but I cannot physically accept because it's a restriction there. So you can follow me. You can send me messages, any questions. I'll try to answer any questions. As you know, obviously, I'm very busy, but I will reply to any questions which you might have. I'm there. You can follow again, and lots of luck to you guys. Believe in yourself. Make sure quality is not compromised. Be healthy, stay healthy, and continue to upgrade your skills. And again, don't worry about artificial intelligence or any other things. QA job will now go away. You have to be smart. You have to be intelligent. You have to learn and be yourself. Thank you very much. Take care, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.
See you next time.